We are back with our public investment plan. We have restorative justice and the arts. We have Judge Sheila Calloway with us. We also have Councilman Russ Pulley behind me. We appreciate you all being here. These PIPs are incredibly important and interesting, and it doesn't mean that if your PIP is not selected that you didn't have a great idea. It may mean that it just needs to be fleshed out more, or we're going to have to fund it in a later date. So we appreciate you all being here. I'm going to turn it over to Jen to kick it off.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'd like to first talk to you today about the fact that we have a problem in the United States with mass youth incarceration. Last year, more than 225,000 young people spent time behind bars. Last night in America, 6,900 young people were locked up. On average, it takes $88,000 to prosecute and incarcerate just one child. And this does not include the soft costs to families like lost wages, mental health recovery, or the deep wounds that happen when communities send generations of young people to prison rather than to college. Around the country, the justice system is waking up and beginning to respond to this cradle-to-prison pipeline. And Judge Calloway and her team have been national leaders, reorienting all of their staff and their team from justices to referees to caseworkers to diversion rather than incarceration. This means that if a 13-year-old shoplifts, rather than immediately move to prosecute them, the judge's team intervenes and begins to ask why. Why did that young person commit that offense? And begins to wrap around and build a full community plan that may include therapy, community and family counseling, referrals to community-based services, and education services. This is known as restorative justice, and it's beginning to work. Last year, more than 1,100 cases in Judge Calloway's court were diverted. That means 1,100 kids got to spend the night at home rather than behind bars. But it's still not enough. Numerous studies by the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, the National Endowment for the Arts, and the Annie E. Casey Foundation find that when arts are added to existing diversion programs, they act as results amplifiers. The state of Mississippi did a comprehensive study of youth involved in the juvenile justice system and found that those who had regular and ongoing experiences with the arts as part of their diversion program had double-digit outcome impacts. 58% of the young people in the Mississippi program had drastic reductions in their behavioral outbursts while part of the arts programs, and 50% of them had drastic increases in their educational outcome attainment. And nearly 100% of judges, referees, caseworkers, and young people found that arts as part of the diversion program increased self-efficacy, self-awareness, teamwork, and most importantly, hope. We have a power team that's already working on this and is built into this vision for the community. Judge Calloway already partners with the Oasis Center on group-based diversion programs, where Oasis and the Oasis Underground Art Studio has, on a case-by-case basis, offered music and visual art intervention as part of community-based diversion. Metro Arts has, for the last 6 years, heavily invested in after-school arts programs in mostly at-risk communities, and is working with a network of artists who are trained in social practices. And National Career Advancement Center has been tapped by the mayor to lead and change the model for youth underemployment in the community. This programming partnership will allow us to address arts-based creative employment, not just for young people who are the most underemployed, but for our community-based artists. So what are we going to do? We'll start first by mapping the community-based assets that we have, hiring a consultant to do a comprehensive assessment of what is out there for community-based arts programs for young people 12 to 18. This includes individual licensed art therapists and artists who may be providing programming to young people and family directly. We will then have the Oasis Center train artists on cultural competency and awareness building of working with families in crisis, skill sets that not every artist naturally has. Those trained artists will then be deployed in a handful of different ways throughout the court system. This could mean providing a pop-up concert for families waiting to hear their docket, or it could mean embedding an artist, say for example a poet, to work for 8 to 12 weeks with 2 caseworkers and 15 young people in an alternative sentencing model. That poet might teach writing skills along with anger management or relationship building skills, and be the lens by which young people are experiencing hope and recovery. Finally, we will add an artist residency program inside the detention center, something we're piloting right now, that may actually, so that those young people who have not been able to experience diversion will still have regular access to the arts. In years 2 and 3, we will work with NCAC to begin to develop a comprehensive arts-based youth apprenticeship program, and we hope social enterprise model. This would mean that trained professional artists might work with young people in alternative sentencing, teaching them skills like graphic design or mural installation, and then work with those young people to do those skills in the community for a wage. We would initiate paying the artist as well as paying young people and offering them viable, employable skills. The costs are pretty simple and I think quite cost effective. The startup costs are $100,000. That's just $12,000 more than it takes to incarcerate just one kid. Just one kid. The costs are broken down, 1/3 of an FTE to start up and coordinate with all the partners. They would be an employee of Metro Arts, but really headquartered at the juvenile court. $30,000 to conduct the research and build the referral database that Judge Callaway's caseworkers would use to refer young people out to arts-based community programs and therapies. $40,000 in artist fees that would include the residency and the pop-up programming throughout the court, and $7,500 for the Oasis Center to provide comprehensive training for all artists that touch and interface with any young people or families in the court. The reality is that this program delivers a triple bottom line. It meets nearly all of the mayor's priorities and is evidence-based. It will decrease youth incarceration, it will increase creative artistic employment in the community, and it will restore families back together in the community and increase overall community resiliency. But the reality is we should do this program not just because it's outcomes-based, not just because all the collaborators have skin in the game. We should do this program because if poetry helps keep one kid out from behind bars, it's worth it. And if music helps restore healing to one family, it's worth it. And the reality is the deep wound of mass incarceration in our community must be addressed, and it must be addressed through comprehensive collaborations and innovative deployment of resources, just like this program offers. We hope that you'll agree, and we hope you'll invest in us. Thanks.
Thank you, Jen. Questions from my panel?
I have a question about the entry point into the program.
Yes.
Would it only include or be offered to folks that go through the juvenile court system?
That's the structure. And a young person could enter at any point in their diversion. So if they're a younger offender, they work with their community resiliency plan. The first course might be to refer out to a community-based program. If someone's already in detention, their interface may be with the residency program. So what we've tried to do is sort of map every interface that a young person or a family may have within the court system, and to really address those young people as, hopefully we're not getting them to move through the system. Hopefully that's once and out and we don't interact with them again.
Could those services be offered to siblings of children that go through the system as an option to
I think they certainly could. I think that the target is to work with a young person who's been referred into the system. I mean, certainly, for example, if we do pop-up programming in the court itself, that would be accessible to the family and the younger siblings. Yes.
It seems like you know what you want to do. What is the consultant going to tell you that you don't already know?
Metro Arts has a very good handle on nonprofit community arts programs that are serving the community. What we do not have a handle on as well, and what we really need to add into this database are certified arts therapists, which is a new certification program, and those are certified in visual arts and music. There's a network of those. We don't really know who they are. They don't have an association. And also individual artists who might be able to provide programming to families. So we have a handle on a component of it, but not the full component. So and also to develop a database that Judge Callaway's team can really use as part of their casework.
Any other questions?
When you look at the individuals coming through the juvenile courts and who best fit this, what are the types of incidents that have occurred? What volumes? Is there a target subgroup? I know I'm asking because at the Oasis Center they have the basement arts, but they also have a fellow there who works with youth staying out of gangs, which is a completely different kind of problem. And so just to understand within your larger target market, who's the subset within the juvenile system you'd like to target?
Thank you, Mr. Bertram, for the question. For my vision, it would be every child that comes through the system, whether it's a child that comes in starting out as a neglected dependent child who probably has a lot of adverse childhood experiences that's going to need something to help them through, whether it's a child that's committed a simple assault or a disorderly conduct versus a child that's alleged to have killed someone. So I think the arts program will benefit each and every one of the children that start in there. For our purposes, we have already started working with the residency program with the Oasis Center and the arts program with the children who are in detention. And then as a starter, we also will start with our cases that are the divert cases, which are more minor misdemeanor offenses. So that's where our starting point would be, and hopefully we would grow so we could hit every single child that comes through the system.
While you're at the podium, one other question for you, because you and I have talked about this issue before. It's the young people that you're wanting to help have a myriad of issues.
Absolutely.
Which is why I commend you for partnering with like the Youth Opportunity Center to address so many other things while you give them a way to express themselves and grow. Is that sort of a key tenet of this going forward, that this isn't just arts, but it's addressing the whole person and the issues of the whole family, as we heard at the other end of the table?
Absolutely. And to answer some of Talia's question as well, excuse me, Ms. O'Neill's question, I apologize. I apologize. I'll do better tomorrow, I promise. We want to affect the whole entire family. Each and every one of those children that come through our system have, as you said, a myriad of issues. And what we are doing now, and part of the restructuring, is we have a new assessment team that assesses the children that come in from the very first time that they enter the system. And it's a system evidence-based tools that we're using early so that we're figuring out exactly what those myriad of experiences or issues that they have so that we can address it. Art is just a wonderful tool that we can use so that we can bring to them to help them through whatever the needs that they have. I believe that each and every child has some creativity in them that they can express in different ways, whether it's through visual art, whether it's through, as I like to do myself, singing, whatever. I won't do it today, but whatever it is, I think that this program will benefit all of the children that we touch in juvenile court.
And actually, that's a good way for me to ask my question about how many children will this impact?
So the numbers are based on about 500 young people experiencing direct impact with the arts and about 1,000 families a year. The jobs piece is based on a seasonal pilot that would include 50 youth employment, so the later costs in later years.
And how do you measure results?
Lots of ways. I mean, so Judge Calloway's assessing all kinds of things in her court, everything from recidivism to sort of family strength. I think we would look at results based first and foremost for children and families, and want to make sure that we're tracking reduced behavior outcomes, reduced incidence of recidivism, increased educational outcomes. But at the same time, we're also going to be tracking that with the artist side. How many more artists are able to do their work, be paid equitable wages, things like that. So. I mean, we want numbers better than Mississippi. Let's just say that.
Are there any collaborators that are missing today? I mean, we just heard a very nice presentation with parks.
Yes. Say the first part of that again.
Or do you have any missing collaborators or any missing opportunities? I mean, we just heard the collaboration that you're having with parks, cultural arts, and I'm just wondering if they should
Well, I think that's
perhaps
important.
be a part of this.
It's good that you heard them together. I think it's important that Parks' main population that we're really reaching in the after school is to try to get them from ever getting to Judge Calloway's court. So the main kids coming into after school programs in Parks are between 8 and 12. Judge Calloway's population that we're talking about are children that we may have not reached through a Parks program and are 12 to 18. So what we're trying to do in both of these proposals, I think, is to say there is a dire need, particularly in low-income communities of color, for quality after-school programs that help people find that thing that makes them want to do something different than their angry impulse. And that we believe the Parks program and this program can help this. The reality is, I'd like to do both so that Judge Calloway has no children coming through the court. That's the end of the day. But both of them are based on the fact that we have gaps right now in the community.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all.